for the darshan of Mahaprabhu, or even the avatars, Nrisimhadev included. They're told Nrisimhapoli, known also as Devapoli. Why? Because Nrisimhadev, after killing Hiranyakashipu, he's going back to his own abode, and then like, oh, Bengal, Mahaprabhu, and he sets there, and on several hills, the demigods who were accompanying him, like we'll hear offering the praise, they rest there, and they're all offering prayers to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so that then, when is that? 2 million years ago, so many millions of years ago, then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Swananda Sukhada Kunj, Surabhi Kunj, right? They're, after writing his Jaiva Dharma, Chaitanya Shikshamritam, so many songs, so many books, in the morning, taking Krishna Nam, as he would, and we're told by the devotee who lived near him that shocking, like as if someone's heart was breaking and crying out for their lost beloved in the distance, a heart-rending sound of the Krishna Nama Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And while doing that, some breeze is coming by him. And it's so beautiful because he notices that breeze, like it seems to come every time, at a particular time. And so there's always two narratives. So someone can say, yes, that breeze, it is coming every day at this time. That's one level of reading of in what we see, the environment, and what it's covering. Right? And it doesn't say that it's wrong, that it's not relatively true. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur's reading of the breeze is that Nrisimhadev is going for Mangal Arati at the Yog Pit. He's going for the Mangal Arati of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's his reading of the breeze. Someone else is seeing it in another way. That choice is always there. The competing narratives. Three, the readings. Exploitation, renunciation, dedication. And all have their varying degrees. Gradation. Even on the dedicating side, to what level? And we will hear, and we hear in Brihad Bhagavatamritam, Shiva praising Prahlad. Right? So where is Shiva located? And remember, Bhog Shiv, Tyag Shiv, Bhakti Shiv. Here, Tyag Shiv. Right? So, Karma Misra Bhakti, Brahma. Devotion, but some mix there. Jnana Misra, Tyag Shiva Ta. So when Narada is praising Shiva, you don't have a care in the world, as we can see by the clothing that you're not wearing, only dressed in ashes, meditating beneath his 800-kilometer-mile banyan tree. And he's saying, yes, something, but I have these disciples, foolish disciples. I give them some benediction. They're bringing me in collision with Narayan or Krishna. What is this? He said, and my ego is such, Shiva, sum total of all jivas, my ahankar, that Nityananda sloka that's hard to interpret, but it can be brought in this direction. My ego is so great, I wanted a position greater than the Lord. What kind of man am I? And Sanatana Goswami Prabhu, why he gives his own teak, because that'll be misunderstood. So he has to give a commentary on his own writing and say, yes, What is the only position that is truly greater than Krishna? The bhakta, the devotee. So she was indirectly, I wanted a position greater than Lord. Even in that statement is revealed his level of devotion. He only wants to be a devotee. He's saying, but, so this is my situation. So there's some unholy elements I have to come in connection with, do some nasty service, deluding jivas, this, that, the other thing. He's saying, but Prahlad, he's a pure devotee. Right? So Prahlad, in the sequence, is the beginning of Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotion. And also in the Bhagavatam. Remember, Bhagavatam announces a target in the beginning, Madhura Rasa. But to go there, have to develop along the way. So, 6th canto, Ajamil, Namabas, such things as that, and other things. But 7th canto is the introduction, really, of Shuddha Bhakti proper, and Prahlad Maharaj. And that Prahlad Maharaj, we're told when he was before he was when he was in the womb of his mother, the Hiranyakashipu was so infamous and feared. What did they say? He was like meningitis for the universe. You don't want to be called meningitis for the universe. That's not a good tag. And so but just the classic asura, Ozymandian asura, wants to control everything, be the supreme control. Ishvaroham, ahambogi, siddhoham, balavan sukhi. I mean, Krishna does an impersonation himself in Bhagavad Gita of the asuric mentality. Ishvaroham, I'm in control. Right? What do they always talk about? The modern day humanists and their, taking control, being in control of your destiny, everything, control. Ishvaroham, aham bogi, enjoy. Bogi, enjoy. Siddhoham, I'm perfect the way I am. Love yourself the way you are. Siddham, Balavan, and I'm so powerful. Whatever I want, all I have to do, create a visualization and envision that, and I will have it. That's in the Bhagavad Gita. It's also on your TV, on your internet, and your ads, on your mobile phone. The Bhagavad Gita, according to Krishna, representing the demonic mentality. But like any good story, movie, the character who's going to be the evil person, it should be extreme, right? To really create disgust and dramatic tension. And we say, oh, you mean like it didn't really happen? No. Cast, script, Yogamaya, Baladev in the background. So, and how do these things unfold? Through different things that devotees do at different times. Right? And the great acharyas, they can analyze these things, Vishwanath and reveal things to us. But how does this play out? We hear that, the 4 Kumars, they're so cute. How could you refuse them admittance? If they showed, they're like cute, pure, perfect, everything. Pure to the extreme. The 4 Kumaras. We would think if they show up at your place, right this way. But not. Right? They show up at the gates of Vaikuntha, and Jai and Vijay are there. But from an analytical point of view, some little Yogamaya thing. So they're like, whoa, stop. You can't enter here. They're insulting the 4 Kumaras. who don't normally lose it. You know, right? Only 2 times I could think of when they lose it. This here, the influence of Yogamaya and Dhyana Dantaraya Sanandana Mukham. When they hear the sound of Krishna's flute, they can't concentrate. Nothing can break their concentration but the sound of Krishna's flute. It's an indirect way of saying how divine is the sound of the Krishna's flute. Right? So, and what do? They curse them for this insult. And as you give a choice, was it 7 mundane or 3, as demons, asuras. So they choose 3 because they want to come back to Vaikuntha as soon as possible. But right here you see, according to the Yogamaya script, some very high-level devotees are going to play the role of these demons. Right? 3. Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, Kumbhakarna, and Ravan, and Ramayan, and Shishupal, and Dantabhakra, and Krishna Lila. And like Shishupal, as a toddler, the first words that came out of his mouth were offenses to Krishna. Those are the first words he ever said. Something nasty about Krishna. Prahlad's just the opposite of that. Right? We're told, first of all, when he's in the womb, because, getting ahead of myself. Well, just to say about Prahlad, when you teach children the ABCs, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or whatever it is in the particular language of your choice, like Sanskrit, it's Kaka Gagana, Papa Baba Ma, Tata Dadana, Papa Baba Ma, Yaralava, Sa, Sha, Sa, Sha, Sha, Sa, like that. Forgive me, Sanskritians, But Kaka Gagana, that's how it begins. Ka is the first letter in Sanskrit. When Prahlad goes to school and they go, all right, Prahlad, can you recite that? And you go, Ka, Krishna, and faint. Ka would make him think of Krishna. That's how deep his reading is of the environment he's in. The alphabet is divine for Prahlad. Ka reminds him of Krishna. And if he can make it past Ka to Ga, Govinda, fainting. Ka Ka Gagana. That's Prahlad. And not only that, but we're told before that, and we're told Daityakul and the family of demons, who's Pashukul, family of Pashu, Hanuman, Pakki Kul, bird section, Garud, and there's more. But so Hiranyakashipu, he's performing austerities to gain power. That's why Ramachandra beheaded a Shudra. When Guru Maharaj was giving a lecture once in Dhaka and East Bengal, Bangladesh, some Muslim student went to the program and thought, I'm going to get him. Any questions? Guru Maharaj only takes questions, and whenever somebody goes, at the end I will take questions. And so he thinks it's like a troll. He's trolling Guru Maharaj. So he says, you say Ramachandra is the perfect king? Yes. So why, for no apparent reason, he beheaded a Shudra? No questions asked. What is this? And then Guru Maharaj explained. What is a Shudra? Shudra means one who wails, laments. Oh. He said, one who accepts this world, this all in all, he will have to wail or lament. Right? He said, so Shudra, according to Veda, they're unqualified to do tapasya. Because by doing tapasya, you will gain power. But because you're unqualified, yeah, you'll do the austerity, you'll get the power, but because you're unqualified, you will abuse the power that you got. And the end result will be bad for you and bad for everyone else. So, and Guru Maharaj said also, Ramachandra, he's in the Surya Bangsha. They are this is, Vedic stuff. They're the police. I have to fast forward here. They're the police. They can enforce punishment. So when there's a disturbance on Ayodhya, and it's brought to Ramachandra's ear, because there's an unqualified person performing austerities, and that's why there's disruption in the social order. So, as a member of the police, or the supreme member of the police, you need to correct the situation. So he goes there, finds this person known as Shudraka, and he beheads him for his benefit and for the benefit of society. And that was Guru Maharaj's answer. Similarly, Hiranyakashipu, he's performing tapasya austerities, not to, try and discover his spiritual identity, his swarup, his servitor, his seva and position as a servitor in the upper world. No, to use that power to what? Expand the circumference of his exploiting capacity. Right? Egocentricity. I'm the center of all things, and from here I shall expand the circumference of my exploiting capacity. Right? Not unlike social media. Right? So Hiranyakashipu, he started performing these austerities, and demigods are saying, like, watch out for this guy. But so they they're aware, but they don't know how far this is going to go. We're told he's like standing on his tiptoes with his arm outstretched for, 1,000 celestial years. So much so that ants, I saw an ant hill out here. The ants, they've just eaten away all the flesh on his body, but by his accumulated mystic power, he's still maintaining his existence. Basically, skeletal remains, right? And with this, as he does his breathing, the universe is being affected by it. There's a fire that's coming out of his head that's boiling like planets, even the upper planetary systems. So all the Devatas, they all approach Brahma and say, please help us. There's this man doing these austerities. And he's the brother of Hiranyaksha, who we know the Varaha avatar dispensed with. Right? Varahadev. So there's some natural enmity there also in Hiranyakashipu against Vishnu and all of his avatars and forms. Anyway, so Brahma comes and sees this Hiranyakashipu there. We're told from his kamandalu, he pours some nectarine substance. Hiranyakashipu's form comes back. He comes down, he's giving dandavats. And like they do, he's giving so much praise of Brahma. How you're the supreme, you're great, and he's giving all this very flattering praise about Brahma. That's not untrue what he's saying, but to the point of where now that the niceties have been done, Brahma saying, so let me offer you, what is it that you desire? And Hiranyakashipu is very smart. He realizes we're living in the world of mortality. But he's trying to figure out a way around that. Does that sound familiar? We're living in the world of mortality, and we're all trying to find a way around it, a loophole, right? Some way of not dealing with the inevitable. Read the beginning of Search for Sri Krishna. Srila Guru is saying, this is the inevitable problem facing everyone. Don't run away. It takes courage to deal with this, right? This inevitability here, right? So, and this is the theme since the beginning of, recorded history or unrecorded, or the same theme over and over again, how to deal with this inevitability. So, we see, the insurance people, they always say to someone, have you ever thought what might happen to them when you're not here anymore? There's a particular way they're trained to pull the heartstrings and sell the insurance policy, which ironically you can only collect if you die. So anyway, and they have these insurance policies, and you write all this stuff in there, and I find it interesting in light of tonight's subject matter that there is this one line where they cover themselves in the insurance policy, say, we cover everything except acts of God. That we don't cover. And by that they mean usually hurricanes, but they'll have a line, we don't cover acts of God. Perhaps they read the Bhagavatam, So Hiranyakashipu, realizing the inevitability of the situation he's in, although he's got complete control of the universe, he's saying, what I'm asking from you is that you created so many different types of living beings. Yes, I did. I'm the creator. None of them will kill me. Nothing that you've created, and you've created unlimited different types, none of them will be able to, right? And I won't be killed by anything living or dead, right? Got it. And no being created by you, got it, Not in the day or the night, okay, Not inside or outside, yes, we've got that. He's like on and on, a list, so many, everything. And then he's thinking like, hey, if you read between the lines, it's called immortality. We'll see, wait and see. Yeah, do you see this one line here? What is that? It's in small print, you should read it. It said, this policy does not include acts of God. But anyway, he's thinking that he's outsmarted fate. And one of his wives, Kayadu, she's pregnant, and the devatas, they're thinking, he's so horrible, Hiranyakashipu. Who can imagine what his offspring is going to be like? So they kidnap Kayadu, Prahlad's mother, and they're thinking, we're going to wait for this baby to be born, and when he's born, we're going to kill him. And Narada, he can understand that there's a great devotee inside of Kayadu, and convinces them not to do this. Right? It's like, just let her come, she'll be in my ashram. And she's just saying, please, my prayer to you is that my child will not be killed. Like, that would be a mother's prayer. We hear it all the time. So they're willing to sacrifice their own lives for the life of their child. But it's important that she said, that's the boon I want from you, that my child will not be killed. And so she's in the ashram of Narada, and he's giving all these spiritual instructions. Let's just say that she cannot understand all of them, or many of them, or most of them. Sometimes he's maybe falling asleep, Narada isn't, but Prahlad is inside just soaking it all up. Everything Narada is saying, Prahlad's getting. So that when he is a child, and we hear it in that section of the Bhagavatam, Komara Acharya Pragyo Dharmam Bhagavatam Hita, where he's telling the classmates when he's just in school, like 6, 7-year-old boy, that Komara Acharya, when you're a Kumar, when you're in the Kumar stage, that's when you should take the spiritual life, if you can. That's when this Bhagavat should be imparted to you. Then you'll keep it with you for the whole life. So, Prahlad, we're told, he's not interested in games. He's not a gamer, right? And he's telling them, look, why waste your time doing this? Look, in life, 25% of your life or more, you say a third, 33%, is spent sleeping. Right? Then another third, of your life as a child, playing, frivolously. Then so much and taking care of the body. And he said, so how much time do you actually have for spiritual discovery, for spiritual culture? Not so much. So that time you should use valuably, right? And so many things he's telling them, right? And we hear that the other children, they're coming under the influence of Prahlad Maharaj. Just like there was a school, a small town once that many devotees moved to, and Sudarshan may have been there for a while. Yeah, so the local school they enrolled in, and it turns out there was a majority of devotees in the school, devotee children. And then the other children are coming, being influenced by them. So some of the parents thought their children were starting to behave in an odd or strange way, like refusing to eat meat. And when the parents would ask it, then they go like, why won't you eat meat? And they go, because Krishna loves the cows. Right? So they were hearing these things from all the devotee kids, why they did, and you can understand the situation. In a similar way, these reports are coming to Hiranyakashipu from different teachers. Even he'll call his son Prahlad, call him out, Prahlad, come over here. Tell me, what's the best thing you learned and what you've learned there? And they'll say that, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Parasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmani Vedanam, that we should use our time in hearing, chanting, remembering, engaged in 9 different types of devotional process. Iti pum sarpita Vishnu bhakti chain navalakshana. The gist of all this is to offer yourself in service to the Lord and His devotee. And you're like, what? He calls the teachers in. What kind of nonsense are you teaching to my son? Right? And they're saying, we're not teaching him these things. Okay? We don't know where he got it. But see how thematically it's consistent. Where do you get it? According to the Bhagavatam. Bhaktya sanjatya bhaktya. Devotion only can give birth to devotion. Where did Prahlad get this? For the sake of argument, from Narada. Not only a devotee, great devotee. Right? And that's what Prahlad is teaching. So when Hiranyakashipu is saying, Prahlad, where did you get this? The teachers say they didn't give it to you. Where did you get it? And what did Prahlad say? Father, matirna Krishna paratak svatoba mitopi padyeta grihavratanam. the griha vrata, those who've made a vow, like you, to live forever in this world, you won't get it from them. And actually, you can't, self-certify or bestow this upon yourself. That's matirna Krishna. Then parata svatova means others. And you won't get it from others. And you're like, so you don't get it from yourself, you can't get it from. Then we say mitopi padyeta. And then if you, like yourself combined with others, that won't do it either. Like, adantago bir bisatam, because those whose senses are out of control, what beneficial thing do they have to offer to you? Right? Like Guru, people always talk about freedom. You say, freedom for the senses or freedom from the senses? Freedom for the senses will end in disaster. Right? Freedom from the senses is what is desirable. And that can never be achieved by following the directions. Adantago means those whose senses are out of control, who are, in other words, it's another way of saying, who are under the control of their senses. Adantago, visitam tamisram, going deeper and deeper into ignorance. When these students from American University were introduced to Guru Maharaj, and he said, oh, what subject are you studying? And with the girl, she goes like, philosophy. And Guru Maharaj goes, oh, diving deep into ignorance. Not diving deep into reality. Diving deep into ignorance. Like not satisfied with the general, survey course of ignorance. You want to go deep into it. Right? So, Adantago virvasatam tamisram, punat charvita charvananam. Saying, what is it like? Chewing the chewed. Oh, and Guru Maharaj said, like the cow chews something, it goes down, and then they bring it up again and chew the same thing again, trying to extract something from there. So that's the first thing he says. And this is so like, how does a 5-year-old boy, 6, 7, whatever, speak like this? And Nate vidu swartakatam vishnu durasaye bahir artamanina. He's saying because they're just concerned with the external thing. Remember what we said in the beginning? 2 interpretations. The external interpretation of the breeze, the deep level interpretation of the breeze. It's a breeze, no doubt. One level, oh, it's a breeze, it comes every day. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it's Nrisimhadev going to the Yogpit to worship Mahaprabhu. Always these 2 things are there. The atheist, and if you want to be, just for the sake of argument, atheist, agnostic, theist, and then different levels of theistic interpretation, reading. And we'll see Prahlad's level of reading, very deep. Right? So he's saying, that's the problem. They're just dealing with the superficial thing. Guru Maharaj said when he was like a teenager, he had this realization. And then from this he extracts also subjective evolution. He goes, but that the whole objective world is like milk, and mind is like a layer of cream. Right. So that's mind is the cream layer, and then the objective world is the milk layer. Like this is Guru Maharaj as a teenager. Right? This was an overwhelming realization he had about existence and the mind. That's why later when people talk about all these intimate things, voyeuristically envisioning themselves as super servitors in the upper world, Guru Maharaj said, you have not yet been able to distinguish the difference between mind and intelligence. And you want to talk about the Vaikuntha world and higher. And you haven't discerned the difference between mind and intelligence, or the objective world as milk and the mental world as a layer of cream floating on top of that. And that's not even the spiritual realm. These are the things that exercised his thinking as a teenager. Durasaya bahir artamanina. That art means the substance, bahir, and just seeing the superficial aspect of things. Andaya tandaya, same thing again. Upagiyamana, tipisha tantram urud, and what did he say? It's like the blind leading the blind. Right. Then, the next one. So then you're saying like, then what is the solution? In 3 slokas. Prabhupada loved these slokas so much. Quote them all the time. Naisham batish tavad urukramangrim sprashatyanarta pagamoyatar arta. Mahi yaso padavajo bhishekam niskinchananam navrinita yavat. Earlier, Guru Maharaj connects this to Rahuganaitat. In Tamo, aho vimuktes, that and Rahuganaitat, the sloka is saying, there's only one door to Vaikuntha. It's the devotee, to come in connection with the lotus feet of the devotee. That's the only door, passageway to Vaikuntha. So what is it? Naisham matish tavad urukrama. Means he of wonderful stride. It's worth noting that after Prahlad and Virochan, that Bali Maharaj, speaking of wonderful stride, Vaman avatar, Adbhutakram. What did we say tonight? Adbhuta Sringam, Tava Kara Kamala Barenakam, Adbhuta Sringam, Dalita. That is saying, this Kamala, lotus, his palms are like lotus flowers. So imagine these beautiful palm, like lotus flower like palms, but they have nails coming out of them. They're still very beautiful, but they have nails coming out, like sharp nails. But devotees have nothing to fear. So, Naisham Matis Tavaru Sprishatyanarto Pagamo Yadarta Mahi Yasam Padarajo Bhishekam. You need to be bathed in the dust of the lotus feet of him. Niskinchananam Navernitayavat. That's like Prahlad's teachings, what Prahlad is about. And this is just, Hiranyakashipu is just so enraged to like, you send your kid to a good school. Then he comes back talking Krishna consciousness. And contaminating all the other children with Krishna consciousness. So he's like all these parents, like, oh, then we'll teach you a lesson. We'll see how much Krishna Krishna you're doing when I'm done with you. And arranges to torture Prahlad Maharaj. Through fire, through poison. And Guru Maharaj on subjective, that's where he brings in subjective evolution, saying like, if it is his will, fire doesn't burn. If it is will, poison doesn't poison. All these things. So whatever they try to torture Prahlad, unsuccessful. And as a side point, Guru Maharaj says, what do we learn from this? He said, that if you pursue Krishna consciousness, be prepared for a life of trouble. That's what Guru Maharaj says. But, then he said, but that trouble, like it's the trouble that will push you further in your spiritual realization. Remember that part too. So, then they say, we've tried everything with this Prahlad, and nothing seems to affect him. And he's always just, Krishna, Krishna, Govinda, Govinda. So, Hiranyakashipu was saying, like, all right, Prahlad, where did you get this power that you have? And Prahlad is like, the same place, the power you have, the power anyone has. From the Supreme Lord. Right? He's saying, all right, the Supreme Lord you speak of, Right? It's the classic thing that the non-believers are always saying, like, show me. And I remember then this friend of mine I had in the 60s, and we would go to the coffee houses in North Beach, and we would talk about the revolution, but as I veered toward Krishna consciousness, I remember his response at one point, like, show me. And I just got the Ishopanishad from Prabhupada. It was just printed. And so I'm reading there Prabhupada's introduction to, and he says, very often some atheists will challenge and say, can you show me God? And I'm going like, yeah, last night somebody, And then Prabhupada said these simple words. He said, but do you have the eyes to see God? That you should consider. And there's a way. Prahlad can see. Sometimes Prabhupada would say that Prahlad, he could see Hiranyakashipu peeping. Nrisimhadev peeping. Prahlad's vision was so deep. So when Hiranyakashipu was saying, where is that? And Prahlad saying, he's everywhere. Right? He's everywhere. He's within everything. What is that song that Mahaprabhu used to sing from the Nrisimha Purana? Namaste Narasingaya Prahlaladayane Hiranyakashipur Bhakshaha Shilatonkanakale Ito Nrisimho Parato Nrisimho Yato Yamintato Nrisimho Bahir Nrisimho Hridaye Nrisimho Nrisimhadev Sharanam Prabhadai. He's everywhere and everything, and also in our heart. And we're told that Vishnu, who's also tricky, he thought, he's going to hide in the one place that Hiranyakashipu would never think of looking, his heart. So he's actually in the heart of Hiranyakashipu. That's where he is. And he's saying, where is he? Show me. Right. So, Bahir Nrisimho Hridaye Nrisimho. So, and this is in his palace, and there are pillars. And Prahlad's saying, Father, he's everywhere and everything. And he's saying like, oh, really? Is he in this pillar? And we're told first with his fist, he's like, look, I want you to see my pillar. He's in that pillar, watch this. Smashes the pillar to pieces. He's that strong, he's that powerful. But then we're told, like, what? Suddenly, like, some sound starts coming out of the pillar, this roaring sound that, like, just everyone in the universe is, what's the word? Struck with fear. Right? Guru Maharaj said, like, it caused some people, women, to have miscarriages. And what does that do? Set up another pastime. So when one place they're told that because you caused the miscarriage, that later you will not be able to enjoy family life. Who is that? Nimai Pandit. Right? Arjabachasa, the curse of a Brahmin. Right? So many things are streaming out of this pastime. So this sound, it's so, terrifying. That's the word, better word. Terrifying. And Hiranyakashipu is like, what? I've never heard a pillar scream like that, roar like that. And then he's like, and then he's seeing something no one has ever beheld before, right? Which is Nrisimha. Nrisimha. This, like a man, but lion. Nrisimha. Right? And Guru Maharaj was saying this way, the atheistic culture is even staring at the infinite, they're seeing finite. So Hiranyakashipu is thinking like, I can handle this. And the theistic point of view is staring at the finite, the column, seeing the central conception of the infinite. The Lord is there. He's in my heart, your heart. He's in the pillar also. So what they're seeing, remember, this is Leela. So no one has ever seen this form before. Think of that in that way. But seeing how so terrifying, the demonic, a terrifying form to see. And remember, this realtor was once visiting us in our town, and he saw this poster of Nrisimhadev like, tearing Hiranyakashipu apart, and we're like walking by, and he looks and he goes, well, he's not a happy camper. And I said, no, he is. Let me tell you about it. Then Hiranyakashipu is so deep in ignorance that he actually thinks that he can kill Nrisimhadev. So he wants to fight with him, first with his club, later with his sword. Right? And Nrisimhadev, he's roaring, sometimes laughing hideously as well. And what does it say in the Bhagavatam? Satyam vidatum nijabritya basitam. Why is he doing this? It says, Satyam vritam. Satyam vidatum nijabritya basitam. Nijabritya means it's sir. His devotee said something. His devotee said, yes, he's in the pillar. Satyam vidatum. To prove that the word of his devotee is true under all circumstances. That's one, besides being unable to tolerate the abuse of his devotee, but to prove that that's why at that moment, my devotee said this, you're not going to mock him, you're not going to disprove him, you're not going to cancel his reading of seeing the infinite within everything. So at that moment he comes out. And also where? Kaunteya prati janihi name bhakta pranashyati. Arjun, tell everyone, when my devotee says something, that must be. I could say so many things and play, but if my devotee says that this must be, then it must be. So declare it boldly to everyone. What the devotee says is true under all circumstances. Same thing, thread. Chenmoy thread connecting here. And we're told, so they start to fight, and Nrisimhadev is, of course, winning, But then what does Nrisimhadev do? And it said, just like, cats do when they play, sometimes they let something go, and then they think like, oh, I'm getting away. No, you're not. Then they let it go. Nope. So, but there's no, when he releases Hiranyakashipu, that stokes Hiranyakashipu's ego even more. He thinks like, now I've got him where I want him. Not exactly. But at that point, these passages are so dramatic. The demigods, they're like, uh-oh. When he's released, they think maybe Hiranyakashipu's gonna make a comeback, But then what does he do? He comes, he's got his sword and his shield and runs to attack him. And then we're told, it's like the way Garuda might grab a snake, just grabs Hiranyakashipu, sets him down on his lap, and then just rips him apart, right? And takes the intestines, and he's got blood all over his mane, and he's roaring. Like, you dare abuse my devotee like this? Just roaring and roaring and roaring. And it's really kind of terrifying, even for the devotee section. They're thinking like, we have to get the Lord to calm down. They've never seen this form either. Remember, don't think like, well, everyone knows about Nrisimhadev, Yoga Maya, right? So this is the darshan of Nrisimhadev. They're seeing in this lila as if for the first time, you can say. So Brahma coming and offering prayers to no avail. Shiva offering prayers. No. Indra, like all the main gods, still roaring, scaring, roaring in anger, divine anger. And all the different gradations of demigods come and offer their prayers, but that's all, so that those things can be said. That's why it's there. Right? And then so they've run out of devatas, and like the thing, Lakshmi Devi, you're the Lord's eternal consort. You can calm him. And perhaps Vishwanath, one of the acharyas, says, actually she could, but she wants and she's like, I've never seen my Lord like this. She wants the spotlight to be on Prahlad Maharaj. So she's hesitating to go forward. And then they push Prahlad forward. And what is the first thing he does? He gives his dandavats. As I told you, and Nrisimhapoli, they have to deal with the pilgrims around the clock at the time of Gaura Purnima. And there's only so many family members. So in the time our party came there, it was like a 9-year-old boy was in charge. It was like between 2 and 3, whenever. And he didn't have crowd control as one of his skills. So they keep pushing, and they're pushing, and like, I'm getting pushed, and when you can't control it, there's just so many people pushing forward, and I got pushed forward till I just dropped to my knees, and I'm like this close to the deities, and I dropped down, and I'd never seen this before. So there's the Shila of Nrisimhadev, that black Shila. And if you look closely, you'll see at one of his lotus feet, and Prahlad Maharaj is giving like a Panchanga Dandavat, and Nrisimhadev's lotus foot is on the head of Prahlad Maharaj. That's also part of the deity that I hadn't seen previously. So anyway, pushing Prahlad Maharaj forward, and then Nrisimhadev starts calming down, and Prahlad comes forward, and Nrisimhadev puts his palm on Prahlad Maharaj, on his head, and he's like starting to melt with affection. And Gurudev once said, Nrisimhadev even licking Prahlad Maharaj out of affection. And Prahlad, like all devotees do, when he begins his prayer, he states his lack of qualifications. Why should we think? That's like for the new people. It's Prahlad Maharaj. He's a Mahajan. Right? This is where pure devotion begins. Right? The 7th canto, the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shuddha Bhakti, Prahlad. And the first thing he says is, I am born in a demonic family. I have no qualifications. There's Brahma, Shiva, like, they cannot, then what could I possibly offer in this situation? And isn't it interesting for us that he's, from a family of demons? Why do they have pastimes like this? Could it be to send a message of hope for those who might have been born in the family of demons? Possibly? That there's hope for that section? Right. But then, so he first acknowledges that he's so many great souls and superior to me. I am born in a demonic birth, demonic family, Deutsche Kuhl, saying, but isn't a fact that by glorifying the Lord and hearing His glories that one becomes purified? And there's this beautiful verse there that Srila Gurudev, of course, knew by heart. I've yet to learn it by heart, but he would bring it up, not only this time, different times, but especially this time. And he says that, and here's the example that he gives. He said that just like when you like put makeup on or decorate, it means that. Doesn't the mirror, the face in the mirror also become decorated? Right? It's not like you have to do your face and then like do the, no. The reflection also gets decorated in the process. And he's saying, when you offer the glorification to the Lord, the devotee becomes glorified in the process. The person who's offering the glorification, as does the person who's hearing the glorification. It's beautiful in that way. That's the example he gives. And then so many things are there, but I mentioned that, and he's saying, and my Lord, you're so merciful, you have many different incarnations. We could say, all right, that would be a nice, a wonderful thing to express, to give some shout out to all the different avatars and incarnations. But that line at the end, Chana Kalo Tri Yuga Tat Stam, Tri Yuga. The hint of like, and you will appear later as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So you're known as Tri Yuga, because in that one age, you don't come as the Lord. Why? What does he come as? The devotee. That's why Tri Yuga. That time, it's an avatar, but Radha Baba Duty Subalita, enveloped in the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani. Even there within the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, but not explicitly. Only the great devotees can extract that from there. So then, to conclude, then Nrisimhadev wants to offer some boon to Prahlad Maharaj for his steadfast devotion, right? He never forgets his Lord, Smaranam. He's the epitome of Smaranam. They're torturing him, they're doing this, that. Oh, he's smart, he never forgets his Lord. And then, so he's saying, whatever you want, I offer that to you. And Prahlad Maharaj, like, his heart, his pure devotional heart, is a little hurt. Why? He goes, Na sabritya sabaibanik. Why this is where pure devotion makes its entrance. He's saying, I wasn't worshiping you to get something from you. That wasn't the purpose of my Sravanam, my Kirtanam, my Smaranam, my Padasanam. That was not it. I'm doing it for you. It's an offering to you. Pum Sarpita. Guru Maharaj said, the gist of everything to be understood about Krishna consciousness is Atma Samarpanam. To offer yourself. He's saying maybe in the fire you throw the ghee, you chant the but really it's about offering yourself. And to whom do you offer yourself? To his agent, the devotee. He's saying this just sums it up. The only door to that world is the devotee, and how do you make that a real, we say association, service and association, by offering yourself in service. Atma Samarpanam. So he said, Sridhar Swami says, Ado Arpita Paschad Kriyeta. For Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, for all of these things to be meaningful, there has to be self-offering, which means you do it for the pleasure of Krishna, not what the benefit I'm going to get from doing this. Right? So, that's Prahlad's response. Nasabritya sabai banik. Banik means a merchant. See, this isn't a business transaction. It's just, I'm glorifying you because you're glorious. Right? That's why I sing your glories, because you are glorious. To the extreme, to an infinite. Anantadev has not reached has not exhausted your glories and singing your glories since before the beginning of time. So, of course, that shines the spotlight on the pure devotion of Prahlad Maharaj and Hare Krishna. Yeah. Is there some other thing that I want to say but doesn't come to my mind at this?
This is the 74th anniversary of
Oh, his joining. Yes. What did you say?
We just
Oh.
remember this every year.
Yes. This is the day that Srila Gurudev joined. And my humble little connection with that was that 50 years ago, on my birthday, because that's how I always know how this happened. On my birthday, I decided to join. Heard that sloka from Ramayana where it's saying, well, if you ask the Lord, please give me shelter, He'll never abandon you. So I did that. Then next day, which I know is the 10th, Dasami, or that's not, yeah, Dasami, Navami, Dasami, go join the temple. Ekadashi, wake up in the temple, because someone wanted to shave my head, and another devotee said, "No, Prabhu, it's Ekadashi, you can't do that." And he's there like, but he really wants to do it because I had rather long hair at the time. He's saying that those are the fun people to shave up and gives him. So he says, devotees would just make up stuff at the time. He goes, it's okay if they're joining. You know, like you shouldn't shave on Ekadashi. So if someone's joining, then it's okay. You know. Then, so that's 11. Then 12, you know, in Harinam. 13, try to see, were arrested on Harinam, thrown into jail. We hear about Chidananda. The Prabhupada says he's a pure devotee, worshiping these little deities. And we have a book of matches, and we take our shoestrings and knot them, and we're doing japa, have to do 16 rounds every day. And our deities are Jagannath. Someone who was an artist took a match, burnt the match tip, and then drew Jagannath on the wall. So we had arti, you know, like practically on the hour. We're not eating anything because we only eat Krishna Prasadam. But with the other matches, someone who knows, they do the arati, then they pass the match around, and all the devotees are going like, and all the people in the other cells, they're like looking at us like, who are these people? Because they can see it. There's 25 of us, you know. And anyway, so we're just going on with the program. And then we get out, and when they take us back to the temple, there's a banner that says, and we haven't eaten in like a day or so, and the banner says, "Welcome home, Prabhus." Right? And we take a feast, and they do a play about Nrisimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj. And that's the first time. So I know that's the Nrisimha Chaturdasi, so I think like, hey, Maharaj, you know, it's a similarly important day for us. And then this is the last thing I wanted to say. So, and also, so Gurudev comes on that day, he gets Harinam Diksha, Mantra Diksha on Jagannath Rath Yatra with Guru Maharaj and Puri. So that's also special. But we're told, so hearing these pastimes, Gopal Bhatta Goswami Prabhu, he's thinking like, Prahlad is such a great devotee, I'm nothing. Remember, one of the symptoms of devotion is always appreciate devotion of another devotee. So, he's got these 12 shelagrams that he worships. And that night he's thinking about himself, that he's saying, out of the love of Prahlad Maharaj, the Lord appeared from stone. Right? He's saying, But I have such a stone-like heart, the Lord will not reveal himself to me. This is the kind of person I am. So he goes to sleep thinking like that, with those kind of feelings, but how unqualified he is, and thinking of how glorious is the position of another devotee. And then he has the dream vision, Gopal Bhatta, I have appeared to you. And he goes and checks the shellograms and sees they're not 12, but 11. And then what is there but that inconceivably, incomparably beautiful Radha Raman deity. So they celebrate the appearance of Radha Raman on this day at the Radha Raman temple in Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. So auspicious from every possible angle of vision. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, you can sing now. Huh? No, sing Namaste Nrisimhadev, then Tavakara Kamala Bharenakam, and then Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Nitai Gaur Haribol. Jai, let me just say, Nrisimha Chaturdashi ki jai, Nrisimha Bhagavan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Wait a second. I know what I forgot to say. That he kept Brahma's boon intact. Because Brahma, remember, he said, I won't be killed by any the creatures you've created. That could mean a lion, or a man, or a tiger, or anything. Right? So he's saying that. So he kept that intact, not by a man or beast, but Narasimha, half man, half lion, said, not by anything living or dead, but by the, remember we said those lotus flower palms, there are nails coming out of the palms. So we know, like on a nail, it's considered from a Vedic point of view, not living or dead. Like you clip your nails, they're not living or dead. And he said, not on the land or on the sea, it's on a veranda. Huh?
Threshold. The entry threshold of the door.
Threshold, yes, and not inside or outside, but on the threshold. Not in the day or the night, but at twilight, which is neither day nor night. So every last boon that Brahma gave him, I told him, he didn't see the fine print. This does not include acts of God from his lotus palms with the beautiful nails coming out of those lotus petal palms from the half-man, half-lion incarnation of the Lord Nrisimhadev. Narahari Rupa. Hare Krishna.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste
Sri Nrisimhadev Chaturdashi ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribrajaka Charja Satara Sabda Sri Srimad Shri Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Shri Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Jai Saparikar Sri Sri Guru Gauranga Gandharva Govinda Sundar Ju ki jai. Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki jai. Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Deva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadip Dham ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai. Sri Gupta Govardhan ki jai. Ganga Devi Jamuna Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi ki jai. Om Vishnupad Vishvavarenya Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mata Charja Brinda Ki Jai, Jai Srila Bhakti Bimala Avadut Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj Ki Jai, Sriman Paramananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Sri Bhakti Lalita Devi Dasi Ki Jai, Seva Vrinda Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Nrsimha Chaturdashi Ki Jai, Nitai Go Premanande. Dandavat to Rupa Vilas Prabhu, Dandavat, Anandavardhan Prabhu in Hungary, Dandavat, Rupa Vilas Philippines, Anandavardhan Hungary, Lalita Priya Didi, Dandavat, Dhananjaya Prabhu in Chaitanya, Dandavat in Rome, Italy, Amala Krishna Das, in Riga, Dandavat, Rishikesh Maharaj, and Abhazia, Brajalatika in Orsk in Russia, and Nimai Priya in Kiev, in Ukraine, Bhakta Bandhu Das in Philippines, Dandavat, Janvi Devi, Sandeep and Maheshwari in New Sukartal, or Greater Sukartal, otherwise known as New Delhi. There's Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudana Maharaj, Dandavat Maharaj, he's in Vila Govinda. Hare Krishna, at the Pushpa Samadhi of Srila Gurudev. Sri Hari Prabhu in Brazil, I believe, Dandavat, Sao Paulo probably. Ajita Krishna Prabhu in Lakta, currently, Dandavat, Pritu Prabhu in Lakta. Somya Sham Prabhu in Orsk, Dandavat. There's Madhavi Lata Didi, she's in Petersburg. Abhiram Prabhu, Dandavat. Ananta Shesh Prabhu in Spain. Chandrakanti and Sudevi. Then they're in Shenzhen. Jai Sudevi. Hare Krishna. When she sees us, she starts chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Gaurachandra Prabhu, Dandavat. Where is he at in Russia? The town? Nahodka. All right. Hare Krishna. Shomya Sham in Orsk. Indumukhi, the forever traveling Indumukhi in China. Hare Nityananda Das is here. Hare Krishna. Is that everyone? I think so.
There's Madhavi.
Where?
There she is, Madhavi Lata.
I know, I said Madhavi Lata. She's in Petersburg. Right. Oh, Darjalila, there I see. Dandavat. Hare Krishna. Damodar? Huh?
Maybe the Tomsk.
I see. To all Damodars. And Kamalini, Kamala Brajabala, Rasananda, Sulakshan. Seva Rupa. Oh, Dandavat in South Africa. Hare Krishna. Nrisimhadev's glory is everywhere. Mancha kalpatribhyascha kripa sindhu bevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. May we all take shelter of the lotus feet of Prahlad Maharaj, Nrisimhadev, and all the devotees of Prahlad Maharaj and Nrisimhadev. Go Premanande, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.